Humanity went extinct. However, the supernatural creatures pretending to be human were so good at it that no one realized there were no more humans for over 200 years. The end of humanity wasn't a grand, apocalyptic affair involving asteroids, plagues, or the sort of galactic hullabaloo that usually comes with an extinction-level event. No, it happened quietly, with much the same lack of fanfare as a cheese sandwich left forgotten at the back of a fridge. The humans were there, and after some time, they simply weren't. The reason nobody noticed the extinction was, in a manner of speaking, because nobody who was left had a vested interest in noticing. By the time the last human keeled over, the Earth had long since been populated by supernatural creatures who were, frankly, doing an impeccable job of pretending to be human. So impeccable, in fact, that they were utterly convinced of their own humanity. Vampires commuted to office jobs, where they groaned about taxes, deadlines, and the price of garlic bread, which, of course, none of them ate, but still. Werewolves held down respectable positions as librarians, careful to schedule their shifts around full moons. A handful of banshees became quite successful pop stars, their wails somehow always making the top 40. The point was, everyone was so good at being human that it never occurred to them that no one was actually human anymore. Every morning, they checked their smartphones, scrolled through the news, and tutted about the state of the world, just like humans always had. It took precisely 213 years for someone, an unusually observant vampire named Greg, to realize that there had been no new human births in over 2 centuries. Babies, of course, were still being produced, but as it turned out, they were all small, slightly hairier werewolves. Or sometimes incredibly shrill banshees. But certainly not human. Greg sat down with this revelation, sipped his ethically sourced oat blood latte, and thought, that's odd. Being a vampire of the thoughtful sort, he decided to investigate further. After checking the birth records of the last several centuries, vampires are excellent with paperwork. Greg confirmed that the last verifiably human had been born some time before the invention of the electric kettle. So, 200 years after the last human had vanished, Greg did what anyone in his position would do. He called a meeting. I think, he announced to a room full of his supernatural peers, that all the humans have been extinct for quite some time. The room went quiet, save for the distant hum of a werewolf, who was trying very hard not to eat his pen. Nonsense, said a vampire accountant, adjusting his tie. I had a perfectly normal human client last week. Complained about traffic. Very human thing to do. Are you sure they weren't a banshee? Greg asked. They can be terribly complainy. The vampire accountant thought for a moment, and then shrugged. Could have been. What's the difference, really? And that, as it happened, was the crux of the matter. What was the difference? Humanity had, as far as anyone could tell, seamlessly transitioned into supernaturalhood without so much as a hiccup. Vampires still had mortgages. Werewolves still paid too much for coffee. Banshees still sent cryptic late-night texts. In the end, Greg concluded, with the sort of mild disappointment that comes from realizing something you thought was important actually wasn't, that humanity had gone extinct in a way that was so dreadfully human, no one had bothered to make a fuss about it.